Hi there. Today we will discuss the concept of causal chains and how it relates to systems thinking. We'll define causal chains and give examples of how they're used properly. We'll also talk about why it's important to think about causal chains when we're trying to understand complex systems. Finally, we'll discuss some examples of what could go wrong if we don't use causal chains in our thinking. What are causal chains? Causal chains are the idea that actions or events can cause other actions or events to happen. Think of it like a chain reaction. One thing happens, causes something else to happen, causes something else to happen, and so on. This can happen in various systems, from machines to ecosystems to social networks. Examples of causal chains. Imagine you're driving a car and you press the gas pedal. This causes the car to speed up, which causes air resistance to increase, which causes the engine to work harder to maintain that speed. Let's say you're a farmer and you decide to plant more crops. This causes you to need more fertilizer, which causes you to need more money to buy fertilizer, which causes you to have to sell more crops to make that money. Finally, let's say you're a teacher and you give a student a bad grade. This causes the student to feel discouraged, which causes them to stop trying as hard, which causes their grades to continue to suffer. Causal chains and systems thinking. Causal chains are important to systems thinking because they help us understand how different system parts are connected. When understanding a complex system, seeing how everything fits together can be hard. We can see how one part of the system affects other parts by thinking about causal chains. Examples of what could go wrong. Imagine a company that is trying to increase profits. They decide to cut costs by laying off employees. This causes the remaining employees to have to work harder, which causes them to become stressed and overworked, which causes them to quit. This leads to even lower profits because the company now has to spend money recruiting and training new employees. Let's say a government is trying to solve a traffic problem. They decide to build more roads to relieve congestion. This causes more people to drive, which causes more congestion, which causes the government to have to build even more roads. This creates a never-ending cycle of road building that doesn't solve the problem. This is a good example of Jevons paradox, which infers the more we have, the more we use. Sad but true. Finally, imagine a person who is trying to lose weight. They decide to go on a crash diet and eat very few calories. This causes their body to go into starvation mode, which causes them to lose muscle mass and feel fatigued. They may lose weight in the short term, but in the long term, they will likely gain it back and be worse off. Causal chains are the idea that actions or events can cause other actions or events to happen. They're important to systems thinking because they help us understand how different system parts are connected. We can see how one part of the system affects other parts by thinking about causal chains. If we don't use causal chains in our thinking, we may end up making things worse instead of better.